You're listening to Brainbusta Radio.
Hey, yo, Josh, let me get a little bit of reverb. Yeah. J. Will. Yeah, I'm about that lifestyle. I talk green work, repping it all over. It's right on the t-shirt. Fan for a lifetime. Yeah, that's a long pass. Figure I would show some love right on the podcast. Turn this up loud and make sure you don't do nothing else. Cause if you're listening to us, then you're improving your health. My name is J. Will. Welcome to the show, yeah. Wrestle, flow, yeah.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Wrestling Reverb. We are just, I guess, on a little bit of a high after that wonderful NXT episode. Kevin, it's been a while since we've recorded straight after a show, so this is going to be interesting for us.
Yeah, that sense of delirium that we really haven't felt since WrestleMania is going to set in. That was the last time I believe we recorded after a show.
I think so.
This is a little different. We weren't watching 7 hours of wrestling, and it wasn't midnight. Midnight here, but it's going to be fun.
Yeah, like, we're not going to really waste too much time today because this is going to kind of just be a devoted NXT episode, which is something we don't do enough, by the way, is we don't talk about NXT enough, but now that we can watch it live every single week, I'm probably assuming that we're going to do more of stuff like this because this may become our recording time, everybody. It's just straight after NXT, so you can kind of hear us NXT thoughts in the week that was. We're going to talk some Clash of Champions and stuff today because that all happened, and Raw and SmackDown and the draft and everything that's going on. There's a lot going on right now.
Yeah, it's a very busy time. You know, we're getting really close to that October start date of SmackDown on Fox. We've just had NXT debut on USA. Everything, shit is hitting the fan.
Shit is hitting the fan. Let's talk. Let's rewind. Let's talk about Clash of Champions first and foremost. Well, let's go. Let's rewind before that again. The announcement before Clash of Champions was the fact that there's going to be a draft. The wildcard rule is done. We're going to get brand exclusive superstars again, Raw and SmackDown involved in the draft. I believe that's happening on the second SmackDown on Fox on October the 11th. I've never been more happy to hear the words, the wildcard rule is over. It's done. Thank God the wildcard rule is dead. I'm glad we can have these next couple of weeks just to have everybody on all the shows and then brand exclusive, what we've been saying from the start, that's how we prefer it.
Yeah, I'm definitely a brand split kind of guy. I think it makes both shows more important to have their own exclusive rosters because you have to tune in to catch everything, to catch the entire WWE universe. You have to tune into both shows. When the brand split dies and the wild card rule is in effect, you could sort of watch one show and then you can get like the recap of the other show, but not with the brand split, not with the draft coming up. You have to become a devoted watcher to both shows. I think that's best for business.
Me too. I'm very excited for all of that. We're going to have brand exclusive announcers, commentators, looks and feels. The new graphic for SmackDown Live is absolutely fire, which we'll talk about in a minute when we get to SmackDown. But I'm just happy that the draft is going to happen. It's going to be a full draft from what it seems is that it seems like we're just starting again. And I feel like that's needed. I feel like that's desperately needed.
Yeah, they're in a bit of a flux position where it is time to start afresh and start anew and just pick things up from the top.
Yeah, it's needed. But as we rolled into Clash of Champions, it was a pretty good show. I didn't think it was incredible, but it did what it needed to do. Like the matches that were really good were really good. Anything that kind of stands out to you from Clash of Champions?
I liked Sasha and Becky.
Yeah.
No surprise there. Big fan of both of them, and they've had great matches in the past, so I'm not surprised I was a fan of that. That was the main thing that stood out to me. I think the show was good, not great. I think it was a very everything. I don't think there was anything that was that bad.
It was solid.
Which is good. I think solid's a good word. I think that the floor of the show was pretty high.
Yeah, Becky and Sasha the match of the night. It got us to the next spot, which we'll get to in a minute. The Fiend coming out at the end, which is great, going with Rollins and Bray. Braun and Seth had a better match than I thought they would have, which is surprising. It was a good main event, good way to cap off the night. A few little surprises, I guess, from the show would be Bayley and Charlotte was quick, but it wasn't necessary. It didn't mean it was bad. It was just, I thought they were going to get a lot more time than they did.
Yeah, so did I. I think so did most everybody, but it served its purpose, and I understand why it didn't go as long as it did, because it was in purpose to serve a further storyline.
Yeah, which is fine. They did good business, I guess, and nothing really too crazy, like really stands out from Clash of Champions, but nonetheless, it wasn't a bad show at all. It had peaks and valleys, and it kind of peaked where it needed to peak and didn't where it didn't. But it was good overall. Raw, SmackDown this week. I guess the takeaway from Raw is that we've got Bray and Seth inside the Hell in a Cell, and Becky and Sasha inside the Hell in a Cell. Both matches that kind of, I would assume they would have been in Hell in a Cell. Becky and Sasha particularly, I think, is going to be a very good Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah, Sasha's got the experience. Becky brings the fire. The feud is there. It's going to be a really good one. And Seth and Bray will also be really good. We haven't really seen. We don't know what we're going to get with the Fiend. We've only seen him in action the one time, and it was very short. I have a feeling this is going to be a longer, more drawn-out match, and I think it's going to be interesting. Or maybe it won't. Maybe it won't be, though. This occurred to me the other day. What if Bray just squashes Seth the way he did Finn Balor?
Yeah, and I guess the cool thing... Well, it could go either way, really. The cool thing about Bray is that it's the unknown, and it's kind of intriguing to not really know what's kind of happening. And, I mean, the Fiend suits Hell in a Cell. It kind of goes with the, the shtick that is the Fiend. But him and Seth have the ability to put on a fantastic match, but it's just what plays to the strength. I'm pretty certain that this will probably be the main event of Hell in a Cell, but I mean, Becky and Sasha's feud is probably hotter than this one, but I mean, striking while the iron's hot with Bray and the Fiend. I guess the $1 million question at the moment is this too fast to be putting the Fiend into the title picture? What do you think? No,
I don't think it is at all. I think that you said it yourself there. You got to strike while the iron is hot. And the iron has never been hotter with Bray Wyatt than it is right now. I mean, he's the hottest commodity in wrestling at the moment. So I think you have to put the belt on him. I think it's unexpected. It's a genuine moment that people are going to pop for.
Yeah, me too. I'm definitely striking while the iron's hot. This is what we got to do. It is that unexpected. I'm just very ready. I'm very, very, very ready for it all. Hell in a Cell is always a pretty decent pay-per-view, but I guess the thing is with Hell in a Cell is that it's 2 days after SmackDown debuts on Fox. So I feel like they're probably putting more eggs into the basket of the Fox stuff. Obviously, with what happened on SmackDown, Brock Lesnar coming back, and we're getting Brock and Kofi. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be like, I hate Brock Lesnar. He's always in the title picture. The dude draws money, the dude draws eyeballs, the dude draws attention, and really, there's no better booking than that ultimate babyface that is Kofi Kingston versus an absolute monster heel in Brock Lesnar. This is money, money, money in my world, and the first SmackDown on Fox, they have to be awesome. It has to deliver. There is no other option that cannot be bad at all. This has to set the tone for what SmackDown's going to be for the next few years on Fox.
Yeah, SmackDown has to be monumental. It has to be fantastic because it's the dawning of a new era. And what better way to bring in that new era by having Brock Lesnar wrestle his first match on TV in 15 years. Yeah. The last time he wrestled on TV was back in 2004 against Hardcore Holly. Just a picture of how far wrestling has gone since then. It's a huge moment, no doubt, that Brock is willing to wrestle on TV, free TV. It just underscores how important SmackDown is.
Yeah, and that crowd in, I believe it's LA. Are we in LA for the SmackDown Fox premiere. I think it's in the Staples Center. Could be wrong, but it's the crowd's going to be hot for that match. What do you see with this one? Is Kofi going to? Kofi's seen every time we think Kofi's going to lose, he wins. But I mean, he's never fought someone like Brock Lesnar. Do you see Brock holding the title, or is Kofi going to retain?
No, I think Brock wins. I don't think he's going to have a long title reign, but I think they need to do something not shocking, but they need to have a big moment on the show, and I think Brock wins the belt.
It's funny you bring up the word shocking with that, because it's almost like it's not shocking that Brock wins, but it's almost not shocking that it is shocking if anyone understands what that means. It's like, it's the obvious, but it's the so obvious that it's a surprise.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Very eloquently put. Yeah, no, it's like it's so likely that if it happens, you're almost like, oh wow, that because you think it's so obvious that they would go the other way.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be fun. Those two, I think it's gonna be a lot more fun than people are. Well, not everyone. A lot of people are just downplaying it, like here we go again. But I'm like, this is the perfect match, and Kofi just needed that little bit, and this helps Kofi. No matter the result, Kofi is in there with arguably the biggest star of the last 10 years in Brock Lesnar.
Yes, he is. I would definitely say that. Certainly since he's come back, he's been positioned as the biggest star in the company, and Kofi's getting that rub. Like you said, whether he wins or loses, Kofi's getting that rub from Brock Lesnar. He's a guy that's competing with main event talent. That's Randy Orton and Brock Lesnar in back-to-back WWE title defenses for Kofi Kingston. That's huge.
Not a bad pair, Randy Orton and Brock Lesnar. And not only that, again, no matter the result, if Kofi wins, I mean, that puts Kofi on another level. Not a lot of people have beaten Brock Lesnar. There's only a handful in the last, however long he's been back, 8 years or something like that. There's only a handful of people that can say they've defeated Brock Lesnar. So, I mean, this is, no matter the result, it's a huge moment for Kofi and for Brock and for SmackDown on Fox. The graphics are fire. They've got new music. Everything's just coming together for the Fox debut in just 2 weeks. We're only 2 weeks away from it. Next week is the last week that we watch SmackDown at that usual time. So it's pretty damn cool. Raw, SmackDown all happen. The draft is happening. Fox is happening. But let's get into what we just watched. I'm eager to get here because I did not expect to enjoy NXT as much as I did. Not because of the talent involved. I wasn't sure what was going to happen. But it is definitely what we're seeing now, just expanded. It is definitely staying at its core NXT. Nothing is changing on that brand. It is just turned up to 11. Going into this, Kev, were you a little bit on the, I don't want to say on the fence about whether it was good or not. We all knew it was going to be good. But were you a little bit just like, ooh, I don't know how this is going to operate?
Yeah, there was a small part of me that was like uncertain of how it was going to go because NXT was jumping to 2 hours and it had always been a 1 hour show and it thrived at being a 1 hour show. Everything felt perfect the way that they presented it, but they really handled the second hour well. Maybe the first hour was a little bit better with the women's fatal 4-way and Strong and Dream for the NA title, but you still had great moments, great paced show in the second hour. You saw established superstars like Pete Dunne and Walter. You saw them mix it up with some newer faces like Ruas and Denzel Dejournette, who didn't really have a moment, but, he got on TV.
I was dancing.
Yeah. Yeah, it was he seemed like he was ready to have some fun until, the Imperium boys came out. But you got to see those established faces alongside new faces that you may not have seen before, like, Imperium, like Wolf and Barthel and Aichner. You may not have known who they are, but you definitely know now. And it's the same thing with everyone that got involved in the main event.
Yeah. By the way, guys, if you can hear anything on Kevin's end, it's only because he's recording through his phone this week because the dum-dum lost his charger.
Oh, way to call me out, man. Yeah,
exposed.
Can't find my laptop charger, so we're making do on a phone this week.
Hey,
Deal with it.
It's better to have Kevin here than not here. I could have just been a total heel asshole and been like, well, you're not recording with me then, bitch. But
if you did that, I'd have no choice but to take my talents elsewhere.
Oh, big dog going on everyone's show now. He's like, ooh.
I'm making the rounds. Get me on your show pronto.
Don't book this man. He can't even find his laptop charger.
Yeah, actually, give me a little bit, then book me on your show.
But anyway, yes, NXT was incredible. Let's break it down a little bit. The women's fatal 4-way match went on first. What a way to start this off. We had Io come out first. It was kind of, the NXT women's division, since NXT was kind of started in 2013, 2012. When did NXT, like this incarnation of NXT start? I think it was 2013.
13 or 14. Around there.
The NXT women's division is kind of a staple of NXT, and it's established as kind of the, some of the seeds that started what we see on the I'm not going to say main roster, because I don't like that term anymore, because NXT is the main roster to me now, but on Raw and SmackDown and WWE pay-per-views, it's been it's been the seeds that kind of planted for what we see now. So to start with the NXT women's, the ladies, and start with them and get this show rolling, it set the pace for what NXT is going to be for the, foreseeable future. There's really no better way to do it. It was Candice LeRae, Bianca Belair, Mia Yim, and Io Shirai in a fatal 4-way match. Winner fights Shayna Baszler for the NXT Women's Championship. The match was fast. The match was great. You really can't really say too much bad about that match, because it was a perfect opener.
Yeah, it really was. It was the best match suited for the spot. And I'm really impressed with all 4 women. I think they all brought it. I think they all shined in certain spots. Obviously, Candice LeRae picking up the win. I was really happy with that. I was rooting for Candice. I think Candice is the best opponent for Shayna Baszler, because they're such drastically different characters. I think Candice is going to be the one, maybe not right away, but I think Candice is going to be the one to dethrone Shayna Baszler. I'm saying it right now.
Well, I don't know if it was announced, but we were kind of talking in our little pre-chat before, but I would assume that this match would be going on October 2nd, when we get 2 hours on USA, and it's head-to-head with AEW. I'm pretty sure that Candice and Shayna will probably be a headline match for that episode of NXT. It might even be the first match of the night, really set the tone, have a title match to kick it off. They might even, who knows, maybe we'll have some kind of coincidence moment when it's an NXT women's title match and an AEW women's title match on at the same damn time.
And which one are you going to watch?
Well, if NXT is producing episodes like this, it's going to be very hard for me to change that channel, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that's true. Honest to God, NXT really set the bar high tonight. AEW is going to have to do some work to follow it up.
I kind of tweeted this out before, and I'll kind of reiterate it here. See, AEW, everyone seems to think that WWE is the one, counter-programming this and doing that and taking shots at this. But, no, for one, NXT's always been on a Wednesday night. I'm pretty sure even before AEW was even in the picture, NXT was on the radar of going to network television. This has been kind of, talked about I feel like it's been talked about for at least the last year, in the fact that, is NXT going to move to USA or go to another, network, or is it going to expand into 2 hours or whatever? So, first and foremost, NXT's always been on Wednesday nights. So if anyone's really counter-programming anyone, it's AEW. Secondly, to me, if AEW are going to come out swinging, they've got to expect some kind of a rebuttal at the end of the day. And there's really nothing better under the WWE umbrella to go against a pure wrestling show that AEW is presenting itself is. It is very, like, sports-driven, and it presents itself as a pro wrestling show. The WWE's counterpart to that is NXT. It's been doing it for a long time, and it's been kind of making wrestling, quote-unquote, cool, or more cool than Raw and SmackDown. So, really, if anyone's counter-programming anything, it's AEW, and AEW can't expect them to not come out swinging what they got best, and NXT's their best, pair of hands to go against AEW. I think this is going to be very competitive, and I don't think WWE are just going to be like, we're just laying down flat here. I'm not saying they're going to attack AEW or anything like that. They're just going to try to counter-program their program with the best thing that they've got, and I think if we get stuff like this with NXT, I don't think NXT is going to have too much trouble, going against AEW.
No, absolutely not. They're well equipped to go up against really anything. You could have put anything on Wednesday nights, whether it be AEW, New Japan, Impact. NXT is well equipped to compete against anybody because it's the best of what WWE has to offer right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's good wrestling. It's good storytelling. It's compelling characters. It's compelling drama. It's got everything you need in a wrestling show wrapped up into one nice little now 2-hour package. I think it's the perfect way to go up against AEW. And you're right. I don't think they're like purposely saying, oh, we have to do something to counter program AEW. I don't think it's coincidence necessarily, but I just think it's the next logical step for NXT was to move to network television. I think that was always going to happen. And I think you're right. I think AEW made an instinctive move to Wednesdays because they knew that they were going to be going up against something.
Yep, I agree completely. And not only that, when we talk about all this kind of like Wednesday night war thing, whatever you want to talk about, okay, so AEW has been very much they've gone on record. They want to present their show more as a sport. They want to use, wins and losses matter. They're having statistics and stuff like that. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad way to present wrestling at all. If you want to do it like that, that's great. For me personally, I don't watch wrestling as a sport. Wrestling is not a sport to me per se. It has athletic and it has sports like, components, but to me, wrestling is not a sport. And I don't necessarily care for statistics and wins and losses. Yes, okay, to a certain degree, I want wins and losses to matter, but I don't want to be counting wins and losses that these people are having. I still want wrestling to be wrestling. Wrestling to me is the ultimate blend of a sport and, cheesiness and drama and soap opera and comedy and everything else wrapped into one. Wrestling is its own entity, and I don't really have that much interest in watching something that's presented as a sport. If I wanted to watch a sport, I'd go watch basketball or whatever.
Hey man, I love basketball.
Oh no, that's not a knock on basketball. But if you know what you're getting when you watch basketball, you're getting sport and you're getting a real, wrestling at the end of the day, no matter what anyone says, isn't quote unquote real. It's a scripted platform and it's a scripted television show. Yes, there's sports elements, but it just isn't a full sport. To me personally, this is just me personally. I'm not preaching for anyone else here, but when I watch a wrestling show, I'm not really interested in watching a sports program.
No, I agree. There has to be some element of entertainment there. I need the stories, man. I need the characters and the great work that they do. I don't really, as much as I think wins and losses are important because I don't want to have like some loser dude just sort of inserted into title pictures. But at the end of the day, I don't want to be sitting there being like, oh, Cody Rhodes is 5-2 and Kenny Omega's 4-4. And I don't want to be like weighing the wins and losses and the merits of each and what matters more. I want title contenders that are there because of the story being told, not because of how many matches they've won.
Yeah, see, I agree with you. Okay, so you don't want some random Joe Schmo just in the title picture or, going for... I understand that. But however, when those moments do happen, when someone very random wins some kind of number one contenders match, how cool is that moment? In AEW...
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. Like, the story is there.
In AEW, you don't get really necessary... You can't get that, right?
Well, I guess we'll see. I mean, again, we haven't had TV, so we don't know. But with the way that they present, with the way they say they're presenting themselves as, it certainly doesn't adhere itself to the underdog story. Obviously, they would just have to have the underdog win a lot of matches, and then.
But then they're not an underdog, are they? If they
Very
win all the
fair
time,
point.
they're not an underdog. So therefore, it takes away that element of an underdog-like story. Yes, there's ways you can still do it, but
Yeah, you could still do it.
But to me, it takes the fun out of wrestling. To a certain
I
degree.
get that.
I just
get
don't know.
that.
I'm feeling I feel like Double or Nothing was a fantastic show. And ever since then, I've been not let down at all by AEW, but they certainly haven't been on the caliber of Double or Nothing. It seems like they come out swinging hot, and then they're kind of still figuring out what they're doing. And when they say they're presenting things like a sport and everything like that, I understand that's going to cater to a lot of people, and a lot of people are going to prefer that way of watching wrestling. It's just, me personally, I grew up in a time of wrestling when some of my favorite moments in wrestling wasn't necessarily a wrestling match. Now, I don't mean that I don't want good wrestling, because NXT has fantastic wrestling. We've seen that on this episode of NXT. However, some of the best wrestling matches don't even necessarily need to be bell-to-bell great. You look at some of the best wrestling matches we've ever seen, okay? In terms of just what we look for in a wrestling match, whatever it may be. Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair, okay? Great match, but was it a 5-star classically technical, masterpiece of a match? They weren't both in their primes when you look at it, okay, at WrestleMania 24. They certainly had a great match, but it was the story that got us. If that story was not there and they were just wrestling just to wrestle, would you say you're as interested in that match as you would have been?
No. The story is what sold that match. The story is what sold tons of it. You think about Hogan Andre, which I just watched 2 days ago. It wasn't a wrestling match at all. It was barely a wrestling match. It was a story.
Hogan and Rock.
It was a damn good stories too. Like, you don't have to have flashy moves and technical ability to really sell a wrestling match. It helps for sure.
Oh yeah, of course.
There's just different styles of doing it, and there's different styles of wrestling.
And they've always said, no matter what wrestling promotion you are, if you do not care about the people wrestling, you could be having 5-star classics and it doesn't really matter if no one cares, if there's no story. The way AEW are kind of unfolding things is that they're focusing on bell to bell. They want to have as much wrestling, not too many promos. They don't want promos in the ring. They don't want backstage interviews to go too long. But to me, that's how you sell a story, especially on TV. When I watch a wrestling pay-per-view, I want more wrestling. That's where I want my best wrestling. But when it comes to TV, I want a little bit more of a video package here and a promo here and segments here. And then, of course, I still want great wrestling on a television show, but it's the ultimate blend. NXT I know we're only on week 1, but they've been doing TV for a long time. It just hasn't been live. They do that blend, and it's very, very, very good, and they do it very well. WWE did that for a long time in a 2-hour television span. You look at all of the stuff that they did over the years, they do have that ability to do that. And I think Triple H and the NXT crew are very tight-knit, they're like a family, and they want each other to do well, which is, there's not a lot of ego going into this, so I feel like it's going to work even better. It's just, I'm a little bit, you can hear it in the way I'm saying things, you can hear it in, my voice. I'm a little bit skeptical on AEW television.
That's a hot take. No, it's not. It's actually not a hot take.
Oh, don't worry. Some dude on Twitter will, if they listen to this or if I write that on Twitter, I don't know what wrestling is and I'm not a wrestling fan. I mean, I get that every week anyway because I watch Raw. There's always some douchebag that writes something like, you don't know real wrestling, or you don't know wrestling because you like Baron Corbin or Lacey Evans or whatever. So, whatever. I'm skeptical of AEW. It's not the God's gift to wrestling that everyone's presenting it to be. They've had 4 shows.
Hey, man, first off, shouts out to Baron Corbin, who I accurately predicted would win King of the Ring.
You did, actually. We didn't talk about that. Baron Corbin did win King of the Ring, and him and Chad Gable had an absolute fantastic match.
Of course they did. They've had, if you remember back to the first Dusty Rhodes Classic, it was Baron Corbin and Rhino versus American Alpha.
It was.
And those two, in particular, had great exchanges. That sick end of days that he ended the match with on Monday.
Yeah.
Terrific finish to a terrific match. Corbin is finally getting his due. And Chad Gable is a phenomenal talent. We all knew that.
And it helps everyone. It helps everyone in that situation.
Chad Gable is over. Gable is over with the crowd now, and he didn't even have to win the tournament to do that. But getting back to the main point here, NXT AEW. With AEW, you have to remember what the point of television is. The point of television for a wrestling show is to sell a pay-per-view.
Yep.
You have to be able to do things that make people want to purchase the pay-per-view. That, to me, that sort of stuff is the backstage segments, the promos in the ring. It's not necessarily the wrestling. And I think you made a great point in saying that you don't necessarily watch Raw and SmackDown for the wrestling, because that's what a pay-per-view is for.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm with you on that. I can't really say anything about AEW television because it hasn't happened yet. I get that the hype is really real. People are really excited for it, and I'm excited for it too. I'm not saying I'm not, but the hype machine is definitely working overtime, and I do have to wait and see and make up my mind after a few weeks of television.
Yep, I understand that, and I'm still excited. I'm still an AEW fan. I want everyone to do well, but there is things that I'm just a little bit iffy on. I don't want to come across as like, I hate AEW. I don't at all. Everyone's heard I've talked about AEW on this show plenty of times, and I've enjoyed all of their shows. I've enjoyed what they're doing. It's just there's certain elements that I'm like, I don't know if I'm real crash hot on this. But again, we've still got 2 weeks till television, and I'll kind of judge it after I see it for a few weeks, because who knows, Kev? This show might not be for me, or it might not be for you. I don't know. It just, with the, alternative that's in NXT, it's going to be a lot easier for me to watch NXT because I'm adapted to that style of television. I don't know what to expect from AEW, so it might be the greatest thing ever, and I might just be like, I don't want to watch NXT because this thing is so great. I might watch both at the same damn time. I really don't know.
That'd be impressive to pull off. Here's the thing. With NXT, you know what you're getting. I think that the unfamiliarity of AEW kind of sells it for a lot of people. Like, you don't know what you're getting. And while some people like you may look at it from a skeptical point of view, like, oh, I don't know what I'm getting, I don't know if this is going to be for me, there's also another way to look at it. It's that I don't know what I'm getting, I can't wait to find out.
Yeah.
That's why people are so hyped on AEW, is because they don't know what they're going to get. They don't know how it's going to turn out. It might suck. We don't know. It might be shitty. But I think a lot of people are choosing to believe that it won't, and I'm choosing to believe that it won't because I really want it to succeed, like you do.
Yeah.
And I really think that the unknown of it all, the unfamiliarity of it, helps it, because you don't know what you're going to get. So it's going to make more people tune in because they're curious as to what they're going to see.
That's true. Of course, reiterating, I'm very open to it being awesome. I want it to be awesome. I want everything to be awesome because it just helps the entire landscape of pro wrestling, because more people will watch pro wrestling, and that's better for everybody involved. So, of course, I want it to do well. It's just, I'm allowed to have these thoughts and being like, okay, this is what's kind of going down in my head at the moment, especially after watching NXT. I just had this rush of like, oh my god, like, it just felt really nice to watch a wrestling show, and, whatever's going on in your life, you can kind of just zone out and be like, I haven't experienced wrestling like that in a very long time, where I've just watched, at least TV-wise, watched and gone, man, this is all I'm focused on right now. Like, it's just this television product for 2 hours, and let's be honest, 2 hours is the optimum time for a wrestling show. It's just perfect. In sense of TV, I just like 2 hours and when it's good, you don't even realize it's 2 hours. You're just like, oh, it's over. Okay, cool. I could have watched that for way longer, because it doesn't feel like 2 hours. Commercials flew by really fast. Like, it didn't feel like a drag. I didn't want to do anything else. I didn't really want to spend too much time on my phone. That's pretty hard to do in this day and age, because I feel like everything you're on your phone for in some capacity. Other than tweeting, I really wasn't on my phone for anything else, but I was just involved in the show.
Yeah, I was like almost surprised when when it ended and I looked at my phone and it was already going on 10 o'clock. I was very surprised because I didn't think it was 10 o'clock at all. I thought it was a lot earlier because the show flowed so well, and it just flew by.
Yeah. But anyway, back to the actual episode of NXT. What was this? Okay, so another thing I like about the NXT flow is that it was very it had a match and then we had a little bit of a break. We had a couple of video packages. We had commercials in there, which is really weird for NXT. If you're watching it every week on the network, you ain't getting commercials. So, but we had a couple of video packages to hype up some things, some graphics for what's happening later in the evening. And then we had, who was it? Cameron Grimes versus someone?
Yeah, Cameron Grimes, the former Trevor Lee.
Yes, he won in a flash, which is fine. He was over. It was fun. And then we kind of went into Roderick Strong and Velveteen Dream for the North American Championship. And it was, on paper, you already knew that this match was going to be really freaking good. And it was really freaking good.
Oh, it was great. When Velveteen Dream kicked out of that first End of Heartache, that crowd pop just completely sold NXT on me.
Yep.
I know, and I know for a fact that if you're watching NXT for the first time, that moment was probably where you went, okay, I'm digging this.
Yep. That is going to be a show that I could show people that don't really necessarily get wrestling, and I'm pretty sure it's pretty hard to ignore the crowd and stuff like that. Also, this kind of just popped into my head. We were having this conversation a few weeks ago here on Reverb about the fact that some people might see it as a disadvantage or an advantage of having NXT in Full Sail with, 1,000 people there probably, as opposed to AEW in a 10,000 seat arena. If they're that loud every single week, it really doesn't. There may as well be it's like 70,000 people are in Full Sail, because if they're that loud, you could have 10,000 people, and if they're quiet, it really doesn't make too much of a difference. You may as well have 1,000 people in that arena. They're that loud. It's not going to be seen as a disadvantage or an advantage. They're just going to be two wrestling crowds.
Yeah, and they've always been that loud. The only thing you have to worry about is that they're getting a show every week rather than one every month.
Yeah.
So you have to keep an eye on that. But I have faith in the Full Sail crowd. They are hot. They are loud. They love their NXT, and I think they're going to keep that energy up for a long time.
Yeah, not only that, but the pro to that is that when they taped NXT, they taped 3 or 4 episodes at once, and always by the 4th episode, the crowd were a lot quieter than they were at the start. So now they're only getting, 1 episode of NXT every week, and it's, I know it's open to the public, but it's at a university. I'm sure there's a lot of, people our age attending that show.
A lot of crazy ass college kids.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. So they were loud for that match. Were you surprised that Roddy went over?
No.
I
knew I had a pretty clear picture in mind that Roddy was going to go over with the help of the Undisputed Era. And now the Undisputed Era is draped in gold. All the gold in NXT, besides obviously the women's title, draped around the waist of the Undisputed Era, the collective waists of the Undisputed Era.
Pretty cool.
I love it. I think it's amazing. I love the Undisputed Era. They can hold all the gold forever, and I won't be mad.
Me either. Cool match, cool ending. Crowd was wild. Good way to cap off the hour on USA. Of course, the first 2 are on 1 hour for USA, 1 hour for the network, and then we go to USA in a couple weeks completely. But cool way to cap off that hour. Really, if it was a 2-hour show, you would assume that would have went on last, but really cool way to kind of get Undisputed Era kind of established on NXT, because I'm sure this is it is for a lot of us, including myself. I wasn't watching NXT every single week. I would catch what I needed to catch, but I wasn't watching it, religiously every week. I will now. So for a lot of people, it's going to be a part of their viewing now that it's live.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way where I wasn't watching it every week, but now I feel like I have to, because there's no more spoilers. There's no more getting caught up. There's no longer really binging it. I guess you still could binge it on the network, but I don't know what they're gonna do with uploading the USA episodes to the network. I'm not sure how long it's gonna take.
I think it's on this time tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's good, but there's still you have to be watching it live in order to be in the know.
Yeah.
You're inevitably gonna find out about stuff after the fact, so you have to watch it live, which I think is really smart.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be, it's just fun. This is just a fun show. As we went into the second hour on the network, we had Pete Dunne. Who did he take on?
The dude's name was like Arturo Ruas.
Karate Man. He was a karate boy.
The Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu master.
I was not familiar with him at all. Was that his first time on NXT?
The first time I ever saw him, probably his first time on NXT. They had the way they talked about him on commentary. It felt like he was definitely making like one of his first appearances.
Glad you brought up commentary, because I think that might be my favorite team in all of commentary.
Oh, they're so good. Morrow, I mean, I love Morrow.
Yeah.
But, like, I can't state it enough how good he is. His one-liners are always on point.
Very hip.
Yeah. He doesn't sound outdated like Michael Cole kind of does.
Yeah.
He sells the gravity of a moment so well. Like, he makes you feel like you're watching the greatest thing ever. Every single time he calls a match.
Yep. And he leads, that is what the ultimate play-by-play person does, is lead the rest of the team. He leads Nigel very well, who then leads Beth, who's a lot more inexperienced than Ranallo and McGuinness. So the fact that, a lot of people harp on Beth Phoenix's commentary, but I actually think she's quite good. I think she's green, but I feel like she's going to become a very good commentator in her time that she's kind of there. And she's learning from arguably one of the best.
Yeah, I think she's going to be just fine. She might be a little green around the gills, but I didn't have any problems with her, Nigel, Morrow, or any of them.
They're a good team. Good team to kind of... They feel... I don't know. There's something about this, and I wasn't watching at this time, but it feels very cult-like in the only way I can describe it is what I know is that it was in different ways, but it feels like ECW, how ECW kind of came up and everyone was kind of behind ECW to get it onto a network television station, and then it got there and it's like it's building and building and building, and everything's kind of happening in steps. It's a little bit different with NXT, of course, with certain aspects, but I think people will understand what I mean when I say it feels like that cult following, it just keeps on growing.
Yeah, it's got that frenzied base of fans that will do anything for NXT. I got what you mean.
Yeah. But moving on from that, we're going to get a match between... Now, I'm going to get his name wrong again because... who was in the next match that was presented? Well, we're going to get this match, but we end up not getting this match. I'm assuming it was his first time as well.
It was supposed to be our friend Kushida versus Kushida. Denzel DeJournette.
Wasn't he a fun time? He was like grooving, and I was like, hell yeah, who's this dude? I'm grooving with him. But we had some unexpected visitors.
Yes, we did, in the form of Imperium. Barthel, Aichner, Wolf, and Walter.
Oh, Walter.
They came out. They absolutely brutalized the poor dude. He got his shit
kicked in.
Yes, he got his shit kicked in. And then Walter cut a promo saying how, they're bringing honor back to wrestling and to the sport. And anyone who crosses them will have to deal with the Ring General, which I can't say it the way he did it.
Neither can I.
It sounded so sexy.
Before we get to Kushida, how incredible is it that they're kind of blending and blurring the lines between NXT and NXT UK, it seems?
I think it's brilliant between Ripley and Dakota Kai, Tegan Knox, and now the Imperium fellas. I think it's really smart because you have so much talent on both sides of the pool. Mm-hmm. It just makes sense to you're going to have matches between the two. Cassius Ohno, for example, just had a British rounds match on NXT UK today. I didn't catch it, but I mean, if we're going to be getting that sort of talent exchange where we're seeing NXT superstars pop up over there, that makes NXT UK more must watch. Because I know I don't know how many people really watch NXT UK.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not going to lie to anyone. I don't watch NXT UK. I know of it and I've watched it. It's not that I haven't watched it, but it's not like I'm going out of my way every week to watch it.
Yeah, me neither.
Not a knock. There's just a lot of wrestling.
Yeah, I really should watch it. I when it first debuted, I watched it every week, but then it's tough because it airs Wednesday. I mean, I say it's tough. It airs on a Wednesday afternoon. I don't know what time it airs for you guys.
It's like 3 a.m.
Yeah, so it's infinitely tougher for Australians than Americans. But I mean, I'm usually doing stuff in the middle of the afternoon, so I don't usually watch it. But I might get into it more. I might.
Well, now we got a crossover. If we're seeing these people pop up on NXT, there might be times when there's an NXT and it'll be like, okay, we've announced this match for NXT UK. You've got to watch it in 3 weeks to get this match. So, it is smart on their part, and to see Walter and Kushida kind of a match that I didn't think we were going to get at all. But hey, I'm fine with that. Those two can go.
A match you never thought possible, but that's what happens when WWE brings all these guys in. It makes the impossible match possible.
I'm more than on the train for that one. It's going to be cool to see whatever they have to offer with that. I think we did. I don't know if it was on after that or if it was on before, but we did see Xia Li, who I'm a big fan of. Xia Li. I don't know if anyone's. I don't know if she's got if she's a real marquee kind of, following, but I like Xia Li. I don't know about you, Kev.
That was really my first time seeing her since, I think, the Mae Young Classic.
The Rumble. She was in the Rumble.
Oh, she was in the Rumble. That's right. She was impressive. I thought she was impressive. I thought Aaliyah was not.
Yeah, that match wasn't great. They did fuck up a few of their spots if anyone caught it, but it was out of everything, it was like the quote unquote worst match of the night, but it wasn't necessarily bad. I'm not a fan of Aaliyah. She's been in that NXT system for a very long time. She's been there longer than Banks, Charlotte, Becky. She's been there. She's outlasted all of them,
which is not a good thing.
No, I'm not a real big fan of Vanessa Bourne either, to be completely honest with you. I'm not really a fan of that team. I'm not trying to sound like I'm an arsehole. It's just, you like what you like and you don't what you don't.
It's a jobber squad. I don't see them having much success, and Aaliyah sucks.
Fair. Vanessa Bourne is a better worker than Aaliyah, but I don't think Vanessa Bourne is super amazing. But what are they, Bad and Bougie or something like that? I don't.
Bad and Bougie, which is a cool name.
Usually Aaliyah's got like a Gucci backpack on that she hits people with. I've seen that before, but I was surprised. Honestly, I was surprised that Aaliyah didn't win. I thought she would have beat Xia Li, but obviously maybe they have some plan. I don't know. It's just nonetheless, it was a cool way to showcase the other parts of the women's division, because there is a women's division outside of those kind of core ones they kind of operate around. There is Xia Li and there is Aaliyah and, the list goes on. But there is others, and it's cool that they got their little moment to shine on this week's NXT.
Yeah, the women's division is deeper than a lot of people realize. You had Xia Li's, the Aaliyahs, the Karen Q's, the Casey Catanzaros, if she's still employed. They really do have a lot of depth there. They just have to showcase it a little bit better, and this was a good start.
Yep, I agree. Agree completely. Now, moving along to a match that I didn't think we were going to get, nonetheless, what it was for, and a person that I didn't think we were going to see in the match. We had Oni Lorcan going against Lio Rush for the number one contendership to the Cruiserweight Championship. Now, so much to unpack here. First and foremost, the Cruiserweight title being incorporated into NXT now is kind of the way that we've been drifting. I think 205 Live may be coming to an end. I could be wrong because of just how everything is taped now. I don't know if they necessarily have time to tape 205 Live and stuff like that. Nonetheless, I hope that show comes to an end. Not because it's bad, but because it will be better suited to NXT. The Cruiserweights will get a lot more love in NXT. Whether that happens or not remains to be seen. But Cruiserweight, first and foremost, two questions. Cruiserweight title and the Cruiserweights being into NXT, how do you feel? And are you excited to see Lio Rush back?
Okay, I'll answer that second question first. Just shortly, yes, I'm excited to see Lio Rush back as a wrestler.
Yes.
He was a really good heel mouthpiece in the way that I hated him. I hated him so much. I don't want to see him do that anymore. I want to see him work for himself. And as to your first question, I agree. I think that the NXT has a much more suitable home for the Cruiserweights. I think they'll get more time with the second hour. They'll have more time to shine, more time to flash. This match was really good.
Yeah, it was.
I love Oney Lorcan, so I was a little disappointed that he didn't win.
Me too. I am such a fan of Oney Lorcan and Oney Lorcan on Twitter. Man.
Oh, Oney Lorcan on Twitter yelling in all caps is amazing.
And it's just normal sentences that he's just like writing in all caps, and I'm like, I'm here for you. Because as you know, Kevin, I'm a fan of all caps.
Yes, Josh loves all caps. The capsier, the better. I'm more of a lowercase guy. Sorry.
Get out of here.
But yeah, I was a little disappointed Lorcan didn't win, but I understand he's had his shots. And it's time for someone new to take on Drew Gulak, and I guess it's going to be Lio Rush. The crowd was really on Lio Rush's side, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, I was surprised about that, because that could have gone either way, because, well, really, kayfabe-wise, the last time we seen Lio Rush was with Bobby Lashley, so we shouldn't like him in kayfabe-wise. But he's gone through some shit. He's released some music. And I guess, he wants to be here, and I think NXT is the perfect home for him. And to see him wrestling again, he's very capable within the ring. He can do some shit that I've never really seen before. So, cool to have him back. Cool to see him get the win. I'm all for it. Him and Drew Gulak will have a great match.
Yeah, huge clash of styles between Gulak's submission-based offense and Lio Rush's high-flying speed shit. Dude, how about that? Speed shit.
I like that.
That little he bouncing off the bottom rope, hitting the makeshift stunner.
Oh.
That I creamed my jeans. I
like that. Amazing. That's my kind of jeans. Oh, that come out wrong.
Yeah, nothing beats a nice sturdy pair of jeans.
But yeah, I was the same too.
As someone who wears exclusively like sweats and shorts. Except when I go to work. Even when I go to work, I wear shorts, just nice shorts.
Oh no, I like a good pair of skinny jeans. Like I like those, those Mike Kanellis type jeans. I
know what you mean.
Yeah, he has some tight ass jeans. I wonder why he's not the father of that fucking child. He probably can't produce any fucking kids with jeans that tight.
No, he can't even get them off.
No. I mean, I guess Rusev is the father now. That was a bizarre storyline, by the way. If anyone doesn't know, Maria had a gender reveal party hosted by the Street Profits on Raw, and then told Mike that it wasn't his kid, it was Ricochet's, but then Ricochet was like, bitch, it's not mine. Then they had a match, and then she said, what do I got to do to get anyone fired up? And then she said the real father of the child is Rusev, who came back and beat the shit out of Mike Kanellis. Now, it might seem like I'm making that up, but that is literally what happened.
I love it. I'm just glad Rusev's back. I'll leave it at that. I'm just glad Rusev's
with the stash. Oh, what a sex monkey with that stash. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. I can't even remember.
Yeah, we were talking about like NXT or something.
I don't know. Anyway, let's go to the main event. Street fight. Matt
Riddle.
We
were talking about jeans, actually. Let's talk about jeans some more.
Oh, yeah, jeans. Yep. Awesome.
All right, back to NXT.
All right, Matt Riddle, Killian Dane, street fight has been building for quite some fucking time. We're ready to get this started. Now, everyone's aware I'm not a fan of Matt Riddle. I want to just don't like that dude. I just don't like him. I don't like his face. I don't like the fact that he wears no shoes. I'm just not into it. But I know he's good in the ring, regardless. But it was physical, and a lot of people got involved in this, and it was just an all-out brawl to kind of end the first episode of NXT very chaotically. Obviously, this isn't done. We're going to get more of Riddle and Killian, which is fine. What did you think about the kind of chaotic end to NXT?
I thought it was perfect. I thought that A, it gets people on TV. B, it sells the fact that literally anything could happen on NXT. A street, and it was the perfect. That's exactly what would happen in a street fight.
Yep.
Was that you bump into somebody and they would jump in the fight, and all of a sudden you'd have a full-scale brawl on your hands. That's how an actual street fight would go.
Wow, good point.
So I think that was the most realistic street fight they ever had.
It was fun, and the dude that takes off his pants was in that brawl, and I'm a big fan of him. What's that dude?
Who?
The dude on NXT that comes out and he like rips off his pants, and the crowd goes nuts. I can't think of his name. I've only seen him a couple times. He comes out on NXT and he's a wrestler, and he comes out in his entrance and he's like, do, and then he runs around the ring and he gets in and then he rips off his pants and he's got like trunks on.
That's good. I'm glad he has trunks on.
No, he's not like full frontal nude. They don't do nudity on the Network After Dark. They do some nudity on there, and he just rips off his pants, and it's just his full ding dong. Like,
there's a guy in New Japan by the name of Tai Chi who does that same exact thing, but it's in the middle of the match.
Oh wow, that's
he's wearing
amazing.
pants. He's wearing pants. He hits like a signature move, and then all of a sudden he rips his pants off,
Wow,
and he's got
amazing.
trunks on.
I love watching men take their pants off.
Yeah, I know you do.
Well, we have watched men in little pants for a long time, so we're pretty adept to seeing minimal clothing on a man.
Yeah, the less clothing, the better, honest to God.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. Very adapt to it. Nonetheless, speaking of adaptable, NXT was incredible. Was an absolutely just perfect. You couldn't have wrote that any better to start the NXT live era, going into this wild next few weeks of wrestling. We're going to have a pretty busy kind of time watching wrestling for the next, few weeks. So it's going to be fun. I'm really excited for it all. Just happy to be a wrestling fan at this point.
Oh, I just dropped my remote on my face.
Ow.
Yeah, wrestling, NXT. Very, very good. Good. Ow, son of a bitch.
That hurts when you're like laying in your bed and you drop your phone on your face. Ugh.
Yeah, I just did. That's basically what I did. But yeah, NXT is going to be the place to be, I think. Obviously, AEW is going to provide some stiff competition, but I'm pretty optimistic. I'm pretty confident saying that NXT is going to be the place to be on Wednesday nights. Yeah,
it's going to be fun. It's going to be just smiling ear to ear for a lot of stuff. We've got a lot of stuff to look forward to. We got a lot to cover in the next few weeks. We're going to be busy little boys.
Yeah, we're going to be busy as shit.
Yeah. Not mad, though. Good busy.
Yeah, no. I'm
not a bad
excited.
problem.
I can't wait.
We got a lot to look forward to. We got SmackDown on Fox. We got Hell in a Cell. We got the draft. We got AEW television. We got more NXT. It's just a crazy couple of weeks to look forward to in wrestling. And hey, I go on holidays from work for 3 weeks starting next week, so can watch every minute of it. So I'm excited.
Excellent.
So that's what we got to look forward to. I guess that'll do us for this week here on Wrestling Reverb. Make sure to rate us 5 stars on iTunes. Make sure to follow Brainbusta Radio on Twitter at Brainbusta Radio. Follow me and Kevin on Twitter at JoshRobinson00. Kevin, yours is
at Kevin C Wrestling. I can't believe you didn't know that off the top of the dome.
I did. I wanted to let you have the moment to put yourself over. I didn't, it's not like I'm asking you what my Twitter handle is.
I'm always over.
Well, I mean, I guess so. Hey, can I shout out something I'm going to put Kevin over at the end right now. His blogs, I've been reading every single Thursday my time when I wake up. Usually you're releasing them like Wednesday, Thursday. I've been waking up and it's the first thing I do in the morning is read your blog. I woke up at 4 o'clock this morning and I was just, half asleep because I couldn't go back to sleep, and I read Kevin's blog and it was about gun violence, and I was like, meh. I understand that's a very hard topic to talk about, and I appreciate the fact that you wrote about it.
Thank you. It was, not easy to write about, but in light of the video I saw today, and it was just probably the hardest thing I've ever had to watch. Not that I had to watch it, but it was probably the hardest, most jarring thing I ever watched about the Sandy Hook, from the Sandy Hook Promise Group, which is an anti-gun violence advocacy group. Just a very visceral, very jarring little PSA about gun violence.
Very
about,
real. Very raw.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw it, if you had the chance to see it.
I read your blog and then watched it just out of pure curiosity, because I've talked about, I know this isn't, this isn't like a, preaching moment or anything like that, but this is just where I kind of stand on things without going too much into detail. I've talked about my kind of stance on gun violence and gun laws on the Josh Robinson show. And,
yes.
Weeks ago now, but you can find it, wherever you get that. But I come from it's very different on my side of the world, looking in to purely, an American situation with gun violence and stuff like that. It's very different for me because I come from a country that does not allow us to freely be able to go to a store and buy a gun. It's very different. And again, I'm not, this isn't like me judging anybody, right? That's just my opinion, is that I don't necessarily think you should be able to go to a store and buy a semi-automatic weapon.
I agree.
Personally.
I think it's kind of crazy, but yeah. I also don't think it's ever in America. I don't know if it's going to change. It's
just a little bit sad that this is my take on it is that it's a little bit different. How there's just, it seems to be in the news. There's a shooting every other week in the States, and everyone's sad about it for a day or two, and then no one really talks about it again. That's what I don't like about it. It's like something needs to, if that keeps happening, isn't the definition of insanity doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result? You're allowing the same thing to happen every time and expecting something just to magically change. In this country, and this isn't me boasting on Australia, we had a big shooting in Australia in 1996, and we said no more guns. You had to relinquish your guns, and you can still own guns in this country. It's not like I can't get a gun license and get a gun. It's just the laws are very strict and very different. Like, there's police at your door every other day to make sure that you have ammunition away from a gun. You have to have it locked away. It's for different purposes. So it's not like people don't own guns, and it's not like, a shooting will never happen in this country. We have had shootings in this country. It's just very sparingly, as opposed to the US. But that's just where, just putting over Kevin's blog, if you, want to have a read, go to lastbloggerstanding.wordpress.com. Is that right?
Yep, thelastbloggerstanding.wordpress.com. You can find that one. You can find my blog on September 11th from last week. And then there's going to be a lot more. And they're not all going to be sad. They're not all going to be heavy like that. Definitely, it felt right today. And who knows what's going to feel right next week. Yeah,
and we kind of, we've both kind of prided ourselves on being very honest and open people when it comes to this. If you're getting a little bit of us, you're getting a lot of us. This is just our opinion. We're not saying anything to anybody. We're not judging anybody. You believe whatever you want to believe. We don't think anything different of anybody for having different beliefs than us. And I'm sure me and Kevin don't exactly agree on everything. We're in two very different parts of the world. Although we're very similar, there is a lot of stuff that doesn't happen here that does happen, and vice versa. So it's just how the world operates, and we're just having a nice little discussion about it, because it's just there's a lot of ugly in the world, and some of it is hard to talk about, but that's what we're here for, aren't we, Kev?
Yeah, we're here to tackle the tough subjects, like jeans.
Yeah, like... I get it. My cat's just made an appearance. Hello, Giddy. You come to record? All right. She looked at me really like, let's get a move on with this. All right. So that'll do us for this week on Wrestling Reverb. We'll see you next Friday here on Brainbusta Radio. Again, make sure to rate us 5 stars. Leave a review. Make sure to show us all the love you can. Make sure to catch the Josh Robinson Show every single Tuesday. I recommend you watch the video cast every single Tuesday, but if not, all my links will be down below. All Kevin's stuff will be down below in the description. We hope you have a lovely weekend as we lead in to the weekend, and I don't know, whatever you do on the weekend, whether it's chilling out, going out, doing what you do, have a good one. We'll see you guys next week. Peace out.